Hi, Marco. I think we are live now. So,
Hey,
good
Jean-Claude.
afternoon.
Good afternoon, everybody. Hello, Jean-Claude.
How are you doing today?
Good, good, actually very good. I was diving yesterday, so that's always good.
Excellent, excellent. Diving. How was it?
Very good. I mean, we're just allowed to dive privately, not yet business-wise, so we cannot take customers. That's the next step. But we went in a group of four, which is the maximum, and did a very nice dive here in Gozo, and visibility was beautiful. And the water was not too cold, 20 degrees, and so no complaints. Finally back in the water.
Ah, lucky you. I'm still in Switzerland, so nothing to dive right now. Actually, people are diving, but they started actually here. So anyway,
All right.
let's talk a little bit of today's subject, which is basically being a dive pro. We decided to have this subject after we are receiving so many questions from the last two sessions, and quite interesting to dig a little bit into that, because people can ask questions again. We can definitely see what any question can come in regards to that, and see what is the future of a dive pro, and etc. So let's start a little bit on that subject. Would be very pleased to share with you my experiences, and see where we will land. So what was your first instructor job or dive pro job actually?
So the first instructor job that I had was in the mid-90s, actually in the dive school that now is owned by Miko, that was on Tech Tuesday, Kotao divers. Funny enough.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's a small world. So I was mid-90s, I got my first instructor job there, and I was basically doing any courses, some fun dives, being in the shop, and that was my first instructor job that I was employed at Kotao Divers in the mid-90s.
Interesting. And for me, it was actually in another time, I would say. It was in 1986 in December. I landed in the Maldives and I had my first professional job, but I was more taking care of the snorkeling part. And in November 87, I was an instructor and back to the Maldives, and that was my first job. But it was way different than it is today, actually. It was very simple life.
I can imagine, and it was different because it was 10 years before me, so it was even probably different from your time to mine, and then today.
Yeah, and of course, I mean, for me, coming from a luxury Swiss, good paid job, going into a diving adventure and leaving everything. My very first job, I had $300 a month, plus some commission, I have to admit, but I did not pay for food, for lodging, and so basically the $300 were really on my pocket.
Yeah, well, that's good. Actually, my first job was $300 as well, but that was the year before I dive mastered for that same dive school. So as an instructor at that time, I was commission based. It was making roughly 40,000 baht at the time. Yeah, let's say 1,000 euros on average.
Yeah, that's okay. No. But I had free fish and free rice. Lunch and dinner. And that was good. I lost 9 kilos within 3 months.
Well, it's the best diet if you want to become a dive pro. Is the best diet.
Well, maybe back then. Now I'm not so sure anymore, because some people are really not. You can eat much better, especially depending if you are in a resort and you can eat with the same food that the tourist, and you have this large buffet. Then I would say it's a bit different. You have really to be careful.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, that was my first job. Bloody hell, it's a long time ago.
And how is it there? What was your, let's say, daily duty?
So basically, well, if we go back to that job, because then in the meantime I had many other jobs in the diving industry. But if we go back to that first instructor job, um, that was basically getting up pretty early, because we did 2 morning dives, 2 afternoon dives. So you either had shop duty or boat duty, and you had to be there for the opening of the shop, which was latest 7:30. So you had to get up at 6:30, 7 o'clock latest, go to the dive school, and then take care of logistics, either if you were in the shop, or on the boat, if you had your course. It was pretty much a 7 days a week job. Didn't feel like working, but it was at the time a 7 day a week job. And days would finish. Yeah, that was okay. They would finish at 5, 6, depending on the logistics of the day. And then every, let's say, 3, 4 days, you had a night dive, so you would finish at 8. So it was really interesting. It was multifaceted. It was many people of many different walks of life with many languages and a lot of hours of presence. But I never felt that I was working, which we had on the last podcast already, that discussion.
Yes, yes, exactly. Yeah. Well, and back in this time, my daily routine was basically, because we were selling the courses at the table, or let's say discover or try scuba, whatever you wanted to name it. But basically, also getting in the center quite early, something like 7:30. 8, then you would prepare to go on the boat, because we did all only boat dives. So you would do one dive in the morning, come back and do a course, usually open water course. You would have a class then, and then you would go for lunch, go back on the boat at 3, do the afternoon dive. We didn't do 2 dives at the time, in the morning or the afternoon. One in the morning, one in the afternoon. And then after that, you would either go back in the water, do the second part of a course. Then you would have theory. and once or twice per week, you had a night dive. So basically, it was in between 4 to 5 dives per day, 7 days a week, plus theory, because it was nothing was digital back then. Yeah. And the only day off basically was when it was really raining a lot, because you could not go out with the boat. So we were always having a relaxing day when it was raining. that was the situation.
You didn't have, because like then about 13 years after you, I worked in the Maldives as well. And you didn't have a scheduled day off, because when I worked in the Maldives as an instructor, had the best job in the world. I had always at least one day off, never worked more than from 8 o'clock to 5 o'clock. I think I did in one season 2 night dives.
No. It was, I think the first part I did 10 months. I had maybe 2 or 3 days off in these 10 months. That was it. That was impossible to have more. And then you would go on holiday, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, come back and start again. That was the drill. So it was not only one boat going out. For example, we had 2, 3 boats going out on the island. We had diving was actually included. So even when it was raining, people had trouble to not dive.
I think that's not the case anymore. Diving is included in the Maldives.
That was a good concept, actually, I have to say. where we had a lot of courses, of course.
All right. What did
But
you
it
like
was
most? What did you like most about your, let's say, instructor job?
well, first of all, you had people from everywhere. I was in a resort where you had people coming from Australia, from Japan, from Europe, basically almost everywhere in Europe. No Spanish people at that time, but a lot of Italians, Swiss, Germans, people from the UK. And that was the mix of the cultures, the mix of I would say the type of the people that you had. You know, you had really from different professions. We had some pilots, of course, because when they were flying to the Maldives, they had 1 week before they had the next flight to go back. So, so they had really a good time at that time. So met a lot of people, flight attendants and pilots. So the exchange, the social exchange, was definitely the best part. The talks, the people you would meet from everywhere. So that was what fascinated me, I would say, outside of the job. And of course, there were some days you were maybe also, you know, because every week you had always the same questions coming back. How long have you been here? Why you choose to come here? And so you had sometimes to be also innovative in the way you would answer. But we did also much more presentations in the evening about the course, about the marine life, about the corals. So and people would really come and sit in let's say in the bar, and you would do this presentation before dinner, and it was also always full house. So it was really enjoyable to do this type of presentations. Actually, I like that a lot.
Yeah. Well,
What about you?
I think it's the same for me. Outside of the diving, I really liked the diving itself, obviously, a lot, but meeting all these people from all different walks of life was very interesting. And if you know me as a private person back home, I might be sometimes a little bit shy and introverted and not talk too much, but I always found it fascinating that I really liked the social side of the job. On the boat, on the way to the dive site, on the way back, I really like to talk to people, and it would really take a long time until I get tired of the same questions, because basically you they live a little bit a dream through you when they ask these questions, so you have to give them a good experience. So I think you do that basically. So I really like the social part a lot, obviously outside of the diving, which is the main driving factor in the beginning. But then you have to find also other things, or you probably will not stay that long in the industry.
Yeah, and there's another thing that I really liked. It was, you know, the fact you would take somebody in the water, and no matter how old, how which it was a woman or a man, that played absolutely no role. But you know, the first breath underwater, they would have these open eyes and you know, surprised eyes, and then really be mastering the skills to be breathing underwater. And that has always fascinated me, to take people underwater and see their first reaction, and actually bring them to a level that they could really dive on their own. That has been something that was always, and is still, something really phenomenal. I think this is really special, that you cannot get, I think, in any other sport, actually.
Yeah, I think I might say, because we both made a career and went, let's say, up the ladder, and I think nothing up to now beats actually that, when you get the reaction of the people that are the first time underwater.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is quite interesting. But of course, that was in the past, and
Yeah.
things changed. And what do you think? How did he evolve, actually? How did the job of the professional evolve since we started? What is your impression here?
Well, Well, it's actually quite interesting because I can say my part, which goes back 20, 25 years, and then you can add another 10 years afterwards because you started earlier. Um, well, I think some things don't change. I think what we just discussed, that people are still mesmerized and amazed about what they discover, that was before, that is still now. But to be a dive professional and to work as a dive professional has definitely evolved. Probably nowadays you have to be even more multifaceted than you were back in the days, let's say. Nowadays, as a dive instructor, you definitely have to be social media savvy a little bit. I mean, you don't have to be a genius, but you have to know your social medias. I think dive centers will expect you to have your own channels of social media when they employ you. I know of dive centers that want to employ only instructors that have their own website. You can argue about that it's good or bad, but definitely nowadays a dive professional has to be, let's say, tech or social media savvy. I think the etiquette, the mannerism and professionalism might have changed a little bit as well, in my opinion. If in the mid 90s to early 2000, it was more accepted and even cool to be a little bit an adventurer and maybe a lot laid back, I think nowadays, even in backpacker places, there's more and more dive centers that start to look how you behave on social media, how you present yourself. You might have to do with high profile customers. So I think the personal etiquette, attitude, and mannerism evolved as well. And it's definitely a tougher uh, platform to go on. I think there's more people competing for jobs now. So you have to stand out. So you have to, well, sorry, as we say, get your finger out and work for it. And so I think these are things that changed. What's your take on that one?
I think when I started, really, it was depending on your let's say background, it was quite easy to get a job as an instructor at that time in many places of the world. But if you did not have maybe some skills, and that will be the next question basically, but you had really to be open-minded. You needed to be ready to live, especially when I talk about the Maldives, but I went also to Egypt, I went to Italy, and in these different places of the world. But you basically had to be ready to have a different kind of life at that time. For example, Maldives, it was pretty simple, really. You could not say tonight I go to the cinema or tonight I go in a restaurant. You were on an island and you were on this island and you had no way to escape. Plus the job was different in the way that you really had to stay with the guest. So if you did not like that part and you would just hide in your room, you would be pretty alone, I would say, and you would have had difficulty to maintain your position, because any dive center was really seeking personnel that was, let's say, open to acquire new customers, to run courses, to promote excursions, whatever. And I think that was back then. If I compare today in the Maldives, for example, in all of these five-star resorts, actually, you are not allowed to go from table to table. You are not allowed to basically be at the bar with the customers. You need to have a certain, I would say, social distance, and you don't have this type of relationship anymore. So you are usually in a staff quarter, and this is not a luxury life either, but you are in a luxury resort and you cannot take advantage of that. So I've seen this type of situations. So definitely this has been a change on how you position yourself and how you act as an instructor. in different places of the world. I don't know, Thailand, for example, you have a small, you have your room, an apartment, whatever you have, and you have a different social life. You can have much more outside of your daily job, and you are not in a resort locked with your customers. So it depends always where you are, but and it depends also how you act. If you have a very good relationship with your customers, with your students, while teaching them or while guiding them, then of course you have, in any kind of situation, you can have more or less contact with them. And so it's I would say up to the instructor to be really open-minded, to be really open and going towards them and have a very good social relationship, which you can really take advantage of it. Because I know many instructors, they maybe started as an instructor, maybe they changed their life after. They had so many relationships in different places of the world. They were hired in different positions. They were hired also as instructor or whatever. So you have so many openings that you will have, because being an instructor is such a multifaceted job. And so that's certainly what has changed. So it becomes always, or it comes always back to the person at the end. But there are a lot of skills that are needed nowadays also to be an instructor. So I have my idea, but I would like to hear what you think about it.
All right. So let's take this question, and then I see there is some questions. We go over the questions in the chat after the next question. Well, skills that you need, in my opinion, there's many. I think you need to have languages, and that doesn't mean if you only speak English you will not find a job. I know many people that found jobs that have only English, but as an additional bonus, languages, and you can learn 1 or 2 languages. If you're lucky and you grew up with languages, that's a bonus. But languages is definitely a skill that is good. Then I think you have to be organized. You have to be able to organize and multitask, because there's many things that you will have to do in diving activities. Then you have to have definitely interpersonal skill, and that's maybe a little bit a tough one because you can learn etiquette, mannerisms, and interpersonal skills, but also you are who you are. So you have to be a people's person. I think if you hate people, you will not become a good diving instructor. So interpersonal interpersonal skills, definitely. And then anything that can add to your CV, which could be mechanical skills, if you can service regulators, if you can service compressors, if you can drive boats. So that is all basically a plus. But one thing, honestly, that everybody can have, and it's not a skill by such that you learn, and what is most important is the attitude. If you have the right attitude, you can make up for a lot of things that you don't have yet and that you can acquire. I mean, not everybody becomes an instructor and is a mechanic, speaks 3 languages, and it has super etiquette and interpersonal skills. But you can become an instructor and learn a language, take a technician course, and have the right attitude, and you will succeed. And this didn't change over time. This is still an important factor, I think. Or what's your take?
Well, I wanted to talk about the attitude, but you steal my words now.
Sorry.
But it is really like that. I think you can learn anything in life. Anything on any job. It may take more or less time, but if you don't have the right attitude, no matter how many skills you have, you will probably never be hired either. So of course, to be hired, if you have the languages, you open a lot of doors. Personally, I learned 3 languages being a diving instructor. And maybe I don't speak perfectly all these languages, but I didn't need to go and take courses on languages, because I was able really to first learn the vocabulary through the, let's say, the diving boat vocabulary. It was pretty easy. And once you had that, then of course you can enhance your vocabulary and start to speak. And if you are not shy to make mistakes, then definitely you have a lot of opportunities to talk and use these languages. This is what some people miss when they come back, let's say, to a normal, I would say, office life in Europe, and they may not find a job where they can use these languages. So it becomes very difficult. I used to say I have two left hands. I was absolutely not in my world with mechanical skills, but I learned how to, let's say, start a compressor again when it was somehow broken. I learned to work with the regulators. So this as well, you can learn, you can go to some courses. So I also think this is an asset if you have this will also to learn a little bit of new things, and it opens such a wide world, because you can use everything in this business. And yes, if you are if you end up by working in let's say in a luxury resort, then you definitely have to have a certain etiquette. You have some rules, and because you are from the diving world, you may not go to the hotel schools. So maybe you do not learn how to behave, how to do that. So in some resorts, you really have to go through this type of education first. So you have to be open for such a change. And the more you are ready to act normal and have the right attitude, the more closer you come also to these kind of people that are really, even some are really super rich and in different situations. You have I don't know, actors, actresses, Formula One drivers, you name it. You have such a wide audience there, but it opens so many things. But you have to really be having this attitude. This is definitely what is needed. And you have to be humble as well, I think, because teaching diving, yeah, you have maybe someone that may be learning very fast. You may be having somebody that is shy of the water and has some fears. You may be having somebody that is super rich and still has to master all the skills, and you cannot just certify someone because he has money. So you have to have a line of conduct. You have to respect yourself. You have to respect some rules, because at the end of the day, you go in the water and you will release a certification for someone that has to master all these skills, and you want to make sure that they are safe underwater. So at the end, it's always your personal brand that is, let's say, on the certification card. So I think this has a high value, and some instructors should never undervalue themselves for that matter.
Yes,
So I think
definitely.
this definitely are some of the skills that I think are super important in this industry.
Yeah, and I think, as you said, with the right attitude, these skills that you might not have, you even learn them while on the job. And that's the interesting part. So let me quickly have a look.
Yes, because I have trouble seeing the questions actually.
Yeah, I opened my phone actually. So hello.
Oh, many now I can. So many now known people from all over the world. Very nice.
Yeah, that's actually cool. So okay. All right. I think first is Donlin. Do you think there should be a time period between assistant instructor and instructor? Say, like, get some experience points or so many refreshers, or help with so many classes? I think the SSI program is good, but to go from assistant instructor to instructor in a week or two is a little fast. Okay, that's one of the things we hear a lot. You want to take it first, or you want me to take it?
Well, listen, I think in the whole diving industry, from the professional organizations, at the end, we all have minimum standards. And of course, you can go by the standard and so on. But what is important is to realize that everything is performance based. And you could be like now, let's say in Switzerland, and you are not able to do more than let's say 3 dives a week because let's say the logistic is complicated. You have to drive to a lake, and maybe the visibility is so bad, and maybe you can really do 1 or 2 dives per week or 3 dives per week, which is already quite a number of dives. And you can be in a resort situation where you really have the opportunity to dive every day, and sometimes several times a day. So it makes a big difference. You can have in 2 weeks, you can have a lot of dives actually, and maybe somebody would have the same number of dives in 3 months or 4 months. So I think my personal opinion, I have seen people that did the courses in short time, but they were so good, and in the water they were performing absolutely fantastically. And I've seen people they waited 2 years before becoming an instructor, between a dive master, for example, and then being an instructor. And when you would take an instructor examination, you would see sometimes these differences. And if you would look only on the paper, you would maybe have a wrong impression. So I think you have already to rely on the system and see how is the person performing. That's my opinion.
All right. Well, nothing to add to that, because the standards have to cover a wide variety of possibilities. And so perfectly explained. Let me check. Jim Britton, what is the current backlog on getting your pro number? Training center and sent paperwork in 2 weeks ago. And Corina maybe can send you the email address that you can contact, but realize that at the moment we're on furlough as well, some of our people. So we're not as fast as usual. So, you can contact the SSI, either your regional center manager or the general email. Don't be shy and do that. Corina will send the email in the chat. Then Roberto says hello. Ed says hello. I think I have to see that I don't miss anything. All right, my comment fingers out and go to work. Sorry for that. Okay, he says, yes, of course. Unfortunately, constantly for less income, but more and more responsibilities and duties, and less protection and support from anyone. I think we're gonna cover that in a way over the next few questions, but I agree that it's getting more difficult. Okay, my sister is watching as well. Funny. Sorry, it's very small. I have to scroll through it. I hope I don't miss anybody. What should be the best path to become a commercial diver? From Javier Gonzalez Ortiz. Well, I think there's dedicated organisms for that, to be honest.
Yes. Yeah, so, definitely. That's a complete different world.
That's actually one thing that we would probably not touch on this podcast. There's dedicated agencies. You can, I mean, I don't know them all, but I have contact. You can send me an email and I can put you in contact with people. But that's a completely separate topic, actually.
Yes, and on the reverse side, you have a lot of commercial divers that have, let's say, reconverted themselves to professional scuba diving instructors. And some had a hard time because that's a completely different type of diving as well. Nothing to do with buoyancy and skills like that. It's hugely different. So, but some people did really reconvert in leisure activity, And they had sometimes also the difficulty about the social skills, I have to admit, because they are, I would say, lonely wolves usually, and they are away from real life for sometimes for many weeks, several months, sometime, and they live in a different world, so they are not really used to have a lot of contact. So that's really different.
All right.
Yeah, if I don't know if there are some other questions on the other side.
One more.
Yes, let's go over that.
There is Simon Banks. Hi, I have not been working as an instructor and not renewed for nearly 3 years. Prior to that, I was a dive con instructor, pro number so and so. I have been told I need to sit a new crossover to get current and pay more money. It sounds like it's getting like Paddy. Is this correct? Yeah, it's actually, you have to do an update. You can do an update with a trainer, and well, depending on which region you are, contact your regional manager, and basically you have to do an update and then, well, pay the next renewal again. So don't worry, it's not that you suddenly have to pay more, but that comes from the RSTC. We're all under the same laws. So basically, if you have been non-active, you have to do not a retraining, not a re-crossover. Don't worry, it is an update. Contact your area manager, and then basically when that update is done, you can just renew as you would renew normally.
Well, I think we are like pilots. Pilots also need to do a certain number of, let's say, skills and verifications throughout their let's say, professional lives. We are the same. I mean, first of all, standards are changing, especially now where we have more digital courses going on. So we are improving, we are changing things that may be facilitating the life of an instructor. We are giving more opportunities. But also, on the other hand, we want to make sure that the instructors have also the necessary knowledge and updated knowledge, so that we can let them go and teach other students underwater. So I think this is quite important, and I think this is also something that we have to value in our job, is that we want to make sure that pros are following let's say an update curriculum, and always there to be up to date on themselves. Even though if we talk about updates, we do not always have the possibility to verify the diving fitness, but we want to make sure that they go through a medical test every year. So I think this is also important.
Yeah, definitely. All right.
Let's see. Okay. Yes. If now, let's say I became an instructor, how do I have to apply? How can I find a job as a dive pro?
Now, there's different ways. So you can go on my SSI and go on the job platform and send a CV. Or go on diving jobs worldwide. There's Facebook pages. There's many platforms that you can go. Then there is also the option. I always like to do that. Decide which regions are interesting for you, and we have something very easy that is called Google nowadays. And you go, say Maldives, and you Google dive centers in the Maldives, and take your time, go to each single one, go into contact, take the email address, send them a proactive CV, because, for example, Caribbean, Maldives, Thailand up to a certain extent, some resort areas, the turnover of instructor is quite high because not everybody. For example, the Maldives is super cool. I would like to go there again and work as an instructor, but not everybody is made to stay on a small island. So after maybe 2-3 months, they say, no, this is not for me. So there's always jobs coming up. So be clever and, okay, go on the platforms, but you're not going to be the only one going to the platforms. So proactively go and send a CV proactively to the dive center, and when they will need somebody, instead of posting it on the job platform, they will contact you if the CV looks correctly. So there's that, and then there is obviously through your network, so through people you know, private contacts. So there's either official websites and platforms, proactive approach through Google searches, or through personal contacts. I think that's how you apply generally for a diving job. Nothing, let's say nothing, didn't invent the wheel. In the late 90s, when I applied to the Maldives, there was internet was starting to be a thing and you could find out, but not every dive center had an email address. I sent letters and got replies to them.
Yes. Yeah, that was the time. Yeah, maybe something on job platforms. It is like every job platform. Sometimes it's not fully up to date because centers or any company will forget to take a job away. Sometimes they leave it also on the platform because they want to make sure they have more CVs also coming for the future. Because as you rightly said, instructors are shifting, are changing orientation, are changing regions. And so that there are plenty of opportunities. I always also say, if you know where you would like to go, then focus on that and contact the centers. Today you have the luxury of finding out a lot about the internet. You can see if the center looks, let's say, sympathetic to you, that you see the owners, you see the staff, and if you feel already a connection there, then just send them an application. Definitely the good way to have. And I would say in the current situation, we have to admit that there will be, like in every crisis, in every crisis, there have been so many opportunities. And this has always been verified, no matter which kind of crisis it was. Now, this one is a bit different, of course, but there were always people, they said, okay, now I have enough. Now I want to change something. Now I want to follow my dream, and I want to become a diving instructor because I'm a passionate diver. So this opened a lot of doors too. So people always became instructor during crisis time. So that's always I would say, a high productive time for creating, let's say, new instructors on any age group, which is also very interesting to see. Now, of course, in some destination, because we have this lockdown situation, there are going to be a lot of open jobs coming, because some instructors may say, okay, I had it now, I don't want to go back, I want to change something else, whatever, everything will be open. So I can already hear some voices saying we will need to have a lot of instructors. So definitely there is going to be an opportunity. And yeah, so that would bring to the next question: how would you write a CV? How does it has to look, in your opinion?
Now, CVs, I've seen my fair share. I did my fair share. I applied for a lot of jobs and I managed a lot of dive centers. So it should look professional. It should be short and concise. Talk about your diving career, and basically that's it. So let's start with the picture. Your picture should look professional. Believe me, times are gone where you can put pictures on the beach and with a beer or whatever. I've seen everything. I usually say one page I like as a dive center manager to look at. 2 pages, yeah, okay, if it's not written too small, because there's a lot of CVs coming in. So it has to talk about the main things. What can you bring to that dive center? So it has to state your age, your certification levels, your languages, your additional skills for diving. It doesn't have to state if you like to collect stamps or if your favorite pet is canary. Dive center owners are not interested in that. If it's getting too long and if it's too complicated to read, it's going to go in the bin. So it has to look professional, it has to be short, it has to have the information that the dive center wants to know why they would employ you. That's what I would say.
Yeah, absolutely right. Absolutely right. Focus on the value that you will bring to a dive center.
Again, I have still from my, let's say, managerial days, I think I still have quite a few samples that I like. Feel free to send me an email. And basically, I can show you what I think are some good sample CVs. I don't mind doing that. I like doing that. And so that says it more. So I would say that's it for the CV.
Yeah, and be humble. Say the truth. I think this is especially in this industry. If you say that you have so many additional skills, even during the interview, because today you can do an interview like we do now with Zoom, everything will come out. And if you lied about your experience as a diver or diving instructor, first of all, it's documented, but then, of course, if you are not able to, I don't know, to be a good instructor and to behave like an instructor, it will be difficult. I mean, you have to really be honest, and even if you are a junior instructor, I think it's not a problem, because if you are open-minded and you want to learn from other professionals, from good dive centers, and every dive center that is registered today can be considered as a good dive center. Then you will also learn the behaving that they expect from their instructors in their dive centers. Like in any company, you need to learn what is the company requesting from you.
Yeah, exactly. So
yes, I don't know if there are some questions in between.
All right.
I saw one from Donna. What is SSI doing to get more female instructor? What is the percentage of female instructors in the SSI agency? Well, I think we treat any gender equally, and there are differences by region. I'm a lot in Asia, and in Asia I see there a higher percentage of female instructors. Definitely. So younger people, definitely too, and female. The percentage varies from region to region, but I would say we are, let's say, in some part of the world, either 25 to 30%. In Asia, you will go to 35 to 40%. That's the difference. And I think this is really nothing is not sexist. The job as an instructor, actually, I think women have an advantage. They consume much less air actually in the water. They are usually in that sense. They can stay longer as a man. It's my opinion. A man consumes more because a normal physical or physiological part. But anyway, so that's we do not differentiate our programs, no matter for who it is.
Yeah, Angie has a few. He says, I disagree. Instructor job is no longer no age, so tied to the age. Best instructors are over 40. Just saying. I think Jean-Claude and me agree, no?
Yeah, I just will turn 40 next year. And a few months. No, actually, why is that? It's very simple. Many people in their professional life at the age of 40, more or less, they start to think about their future. They start to think about their life. And right now, many people are really thinking about their career, about their life. Do I really belong to this 15% of the people who do something that they would like to do? And that's the moment, because if they were, let's say, parents very young, maybe with 40, they are already having kids that are out, they do not have to take care of them, and they decide to change their orientation, professional orientation. That's why actually it's true, we have many instructors going into this direction. Now, if we would only follow that model, you would think that diving is getting older. And this is what I hear, for example, in the States, in some forums in Europe. But when I go to Asia, it's absolutely the contrary. I did lately a presentation in Koh Tao. There were 150 people there, and I think the average age was probably, due to me, it was 30. So so that was the difference. So it depends. It's open to everyone. This is the beauty of our job. You do not need to be young or having a certain age to be an instructor. But of course, if you have a certain age, you may have maybe more patience too. Depends very much on the person. Sometimes also not. Depends.
Yeah, I always like to have a mix of instructors, of employees, young, hungry ones with a lot of energy, and a little bit more older ones that have maybe a little bit more life experience. So it is, as Jean-Claude said, it varies. It's open to any age. Ed says the more things you can teach or service, the more valuable you are. But be willing to work and learn, definitely. And that comes back again to the attitude. I definitely agree with Ed. So you always have to be willing to learn and improve on the way. Otherwise, you're stagnating. That's true.
Yes, look, I mean, when you become an instructor, you have a certain level of knowledge. And that's actually, you do not do an instructor course and an instructor examination, or let's say the course just to pass the examination. You prepare yourself for the life after the examination. And that's where you really start to have the open world. That's that moment where you have to see the diving world with a very open mind. And you will probably define what are the passions that you have. It can be marine ecology, it can be photography, it can be wrecks, it can be whatever you want. You have some preferences. And usually if you use these preferences to your advantage, you will first of all learn about that, but you will transmit this passion. If you are an instructor and you are let's say passionate by photography or video, and you give all the tips to someone but never certify something, then you lose a lot of opportunities. If instead of that you are also able to, let's say, have the latest call to action and say, I will teach you everything about that, and you will even be certified, then you become very valuable too. And it's not only about money, it's also about continuing your own career. So it's really important to have this open focus. All right, Marco, I know last time we had also a lot of questions about salary. What are some consideration about that when you are negotiating the salary?
All right, that's an interesting one. Well, basically, first of all, when you, let's say, apply for a job, be it as dive master or more instructor, but any diving job, you should realize a little bit, inform yourself what you're getting into, and you will realize pretty quick that you have responsibility, that you will work long hours, and that it's physical. So I know how the industry pays and doesn't pay, but aim high, because we have to start somewhere. You should rather not take a job if you're not happy with the salary you get. So it means you have to know a little bit what you can expect, basically. But definitely don't undersell yourself. You should think about the region where you go. For example, I give you an example. I worked in a lot of different countries. I had a lot of different jobs and with different agencies. I know a lot of people and they come back to me. And for example, Jean-Claude will be able to relate to that and it will answer the question. they say, oh, but you know many people in the Maldives, and can I get a job in the Maldives? Can you help me get a job? So I tell them to send me a CV, and I help people. I like to do that. And then very often they come back to me and say, yeah, but they just offered me 800 euros fixed salary. It's the Maldives. They're crazy. I heard the Maldives, you can earn a lot. So I say, wait, think. So, and usually in the contract, it says a fixed salary, which can be 6, 7, 800 euros, commission on courses, commission on service charge, turnover, and paid visa, paid work permit, paid accommodation, paid food. So you're going to end up earning 12 to 1500 euros, and you can bank it all every month. I had my first salary in the Maldives was about roughly 12, 1300 euros. That was 2000 or somewhere, in the year 2000. I worked in a very big dive school in Thailand, where I averaged over 5 years, never less than 2,500 euros. I saved more in a year in the Maldives than in 5 years in Thailand, because I had no living expenses paid, no work permit paid, no food paid, all the possibilities to go out and have a good life. So what I want to say is, do not undersell yourself. Know where you're going and what the costs of living are there. Inform yourself through friends, acquaintances, what you can expect, and then claim what you can expect as a top earner in that region. Because otherwise, we're never going to get out of underpaid instructors, which there's a whole lot more to it, but do not undersell yourself, and never ever work for free or for dives. Don't ever offer that.
Yes, absolutely true. And you know, even with my first job, when I had $300 a month, I earned I put $300 a month on the side. That was a lot of years back, and that's true. It depends in where you are. Try to, if you are in a full board situation, and as Marco mentioned, you have the visa cost covered, you have the flight covered, you have everything covered basically, and you put maybe, I don't know, $1,500 or euros aside a month. Think about if you would even live in Switzerland right now, and let's say somebody would earn 5,000 brutto a month. Nobody can put so much money on the side. Or you don't live, I don't know, but usually, I mean, or you live by your parents, but in a normal situation, you can almost never put that kind of money aside. So this is, you have always to check the question marks, have a list. You need to have a checklist and have all these questions basically answered, and then take a decision. I think this is really something that is quite important. And again, as Marco said, don't undervalue yourself. Personally, I also think that if you are really convinced about your skills, about your knowledge, I always think having a fixed salary and a commission, it's always has been something that worked good, because then you can sell more courses, you can convince people to take a next course and so on. And it's pretty easy, because if you go and dive with sharks and you tell them, I will even provide you the certification about shark diving, I will explain you all the details, and you make it interesting, that people will not refuse to get that knowledge. So even now you can do so many things from a digital point of view. You could even teach these kind of courses from your living room right now, no matter if you are in Europe or in a resort, but maybe in a lockdown situation, you can still do it. So we have a lot of possibilities to do that. So those are the questions I think that you need to answer.
Yeah, but there's actually quite a few interesting comments that go a little bit in the same, obviously, direction. So Daniel says, how can you maximize the possibility to get a job after your instructor certification? Well, basically on that one, you can sum it up a little bit with what we said up to now. So know where you're gonna want to go. Have a professional CV, know how to apply for a job, and hopefully you have some skills, or otherwise be willing to learn it, and then apply. Go for it. I mean, there's no rocket science there. Then the interesting one starts. So Damien says, and I'm going to read a few because they're all about the same. He says, haha, being in the diving industry for profit, in which alternate universe? It's a way of living, not making tons of money. Angie says, yes, we have to love what we do.
Comes back to passion, as I said before. Yeah, it's absolutely that.
And then Daniel says, I'm not in it for the money, I'm in it for the fun. Very true. Now, let me ask you a question. What's the difference in having fun, being in a nice environment, loving what you do, and not getting paid, and having fun, being in an environment what you love, doing what you love to do, and being paid? Why shouldn't we be paid? We all have to have fun. We all have to be in it for the love of it. Then we're in it for the right reasons. But do not undersell yourself. You still can get paid for it. I'm very adamant on that. When I had the dive school, the first dive school I managed in Thailand, which was in the early 2000s, it's a high turnover, well, it was basically Koh Tao, a high turnover island where a lot of people come in, and I had regularly people coming in saying, yeah, I'm here for a few weeks, a few months, can I just work for dives? You don't need to pay me. So after the first 2 or 3, I would sit them down, give them a coffee, show them my stuff, and point to them and say, go decide. And they said, what decide? I said, which one should I fire? Which one should I not pay anymore so that you can work for free? And they were like, So I am basically here, I'm more private than corporate in terms of don't work for free, don't work just because you love it. Obviously you love it, we all do, but the industry has somehow to heal itself. And I think we're having actually a big opportunity at the moment in that respect. And it starts as well with how we as dive professionals apply for jobs. So don't undersell yourself because you love what you do. You have huge responsibilities. You work long hours, you work physically. And there is actually dive centers that value that. There are not yet enough of them, but there is.
Yeah, absolutely. And it depends very much where you teach. It's not everything is based on the result. You can be in a European country, and basically you do that part-time, and you will earn quite nice money to do it part-time too. And if we talk about opportunities right now, definitely depending on how the tourism will evolve, and if you are ready to, let's say, go diving maybe more local, then you will have a lot of open opportunities to work with a local dive center, maybe go diving in a lake, in a quarry or whatever, and really make quite some good money, because this season will be different. And this will also open a lot of doors. And I know some centers are already searching for instructors, because it can have different application. Maybe that centers will have limitations on the number of customers they can take at the same time in the water. Sometimes it's also due to the visibility and the local premises. But let's say if you have to do, and that's what I'm hearing now, you have much more private and semi-private courses that have started. So meaning that these clients are also paying more, meaning the instructor is also getting better paid. So dive centers will need to have this kind of instructors ready to be also flexible and be ready to teach locally. And that's not only the diving industry. There are some other industries, sport related, that will have exactly the same challenges, but also opportunities. So you have always to take the pros and cons and check where you want to be and how you want to do it, part-time, full-time. many people tell me it's impossible to be full-time in Europe. I came back from the Maldives in 1991, and I was in Switzerland. I was sure I could not work as a diving instructor. After 3 months, I became a full-time diving instructor. It was absolutely not a problem, because I had a lot of people from the medical side, actually from hospitals, and they had all different types of schedule, and I was able to provide them courses during the day, on a Monday morning, on a Tuesday afternoon, wherever, and I had always full house. And this is not different today. People have free time. Think about all the people doing teleworking now. They also want to have some kind of a balance. So these people will also be seeking for doing some other activities, and we have everything in our hands to provide that. So again, there are plenty of opportunities, but you need to make yourself available in that sense. There was one question that I wanted to cover as well. Do you think it's too easy to become an instructor today?
Well, I don't think so. It's a tricky question. In the end, we have the standards that are made that have to cover a wide variety of, let's say, of cases. Me, in my case, it was the mid-90s, and I personally wanted to gain some experience as dive master, so I worked as a dive master, and I think I had 3 years since the open water, 350, 400 dives, and I went to do my instructor course. At the time, there was always big instructor courses, and I felt like, okay, I might be ready after 3 years as a diver, one as a professional dive master, and then with, let's say, 400 dives. And I came into the group with people from all walks of life. An old couple that bought a dive center in Fiji, young Australian guys that wanted to work as instructors, a big mix. And I was the one that was diving the longest and with the most dives. So that existed already in the mid-90s, this, let's say, issue. Thinking about it, I don't think it is an issue, because there's people doing instructor courses or becoming instructors for different reasons. There is, for example, the one that does it for a personal challenge. He might not be working in the diving industry afterwards. He just wants to see if he can become an instructor. There will be the passionate guy that probably and hopefully will work a long time in the diving industry. There will be maybe the ones, like nowadays is often the case, they want to travel and work a bit and supplement their income to travel longer. So there is a different mix, and you have to accommodate them all. I think the important thing really is how we teach them. The training center and the instructor trainer have to realize who is in front of them and guide them in the right way so that they find the right place in the industry. And for example, tell them things like, don't undersell yourself, don't work for free. So somebody can be very, very aquatic, let's say, and very savvy and is very passionate and will be an amazing instructor after 1 year open water, 100 dives, and off we go. The other person might be a little bit less aquatic, struggle a little bit more on some parts, but along the way, if dive professionals and dive centers do their job, that person will be counseled to do it the right way, and it will automatically take a little bit longer. So after a lot of reflection, really, and I'm constantly reflecting on these things, and sometimes my mind is a little bit torn, but no, I think it's not too little. I think we have to apply the system correctly. Or what do you think? Tricky one.
I would say in some way it has become easier to become an instructor today, not due to the water part, I would say, because at least if we speak for ourselves, for SSI, we really put a lot of emphasis on the diving part, on the water part. We make sure that people do really have all the skills in there, and they can really prove that they are able to do everything that they are able to teach, and so on. I think the part that has become easier is definitely the diving theory, because today you have the possibility to have so many videos, so many digital training, and so on. And this has facilitated, I would say, the learning. If you want to learn something on a specific subject, you go even on YouTube and you type your search, let's say your search words, your search keywords, and you will get even more explanation. So in terms of seconds, in a matter of seconds, you have so many different possibilities to learn more, but also to see different skills, how they are executed. Before you do not have videos that would show how to master a skill. Today you have all of that handy. So I think this has made the quality of a good instructor who is really following everything, passing the exam and continuing in the education after. I think this has made it more easier in that sense.
Yeah.
But I would not say it's easier to pass the exam. I think it's still the same. You have really to be mastering all the skills. And if you are really doing all your homework before, then it should not be a matter of difficulty to pass the exam. But always think you have to be successful after too. So you have to focus on what is coming after. I don't know if we have some questions, Marco.
Let me check. I think I've seen a few popping up, obviously. Okay. All right. Okay, now I found it again. Ed says more money would be nice, but changing someone's life or showing them our underwater world and seeing their expression is priceless. Okay, yeah, that's true. Then there's Justin that says the best of SSI now, all of the knowledge materials are easy to review in this time or any time, and this is perfect time to read and review to get sharp. That's true, and it will stay. That's what Jean-Claude just said. Not only in these times, we really have everything that you can read basically beforehand and get you more time in the water. Angie says it's a choice, and she continues, I would do it for free because I love it, but I won't, so it doesn't impact the industry. Thank you, Angie. Is there any COVID-19 relief package for an instructor? Well, at the moment, what we did so far is Jean-Claude can say more to that as well, but yes, we doubled the pro points. Sometimes I get some feedback, yeah, but okay, you just doubled the pro points, we don't teach anyway. Well, until February, March, it's a worldwide thing, people taught. Now the science of diving that you give free of charge away counts as well. So that will also count. And hopefully towards the end of the day, the end of the year, sorry, or the middle of the year, slowly we can start teaching again. So there will be more pro points to be received, and we double them all worldwide. That's actually a big chunk of money. So that's the first thing that we did. So
yes, and I would maybe add that if I would be now in this situation that I would be an instructor, maybe let's say on the furlough in somehow, or not having a job right now. Let's say I was working in a resort, and the resort is shut down. And you know that many dive centers are owned by people that are probably not even doing a lot of dives or teaching anymore, because they are sometimes investors, sometimes they did a dive center years ago and they do manage the dive center. So I would definitely go back to them and would say, listen, we have quite a number of programs that can be handled digitally and can be taught digitally. Science of diving was mentioned. You have enriched Air 32. You have all the marine ecology programs. You can do 100% basically online. You can create your virtual classroom. You can teach that. And you can have new customers. You can motivate, let's say, divers that were not active for a long time. And we know many are doing that and having a good success on that. But as an instructor, I would motivate my boss. I would say, listen, I can generate quite some money on that in this situation. Let me work. Let me work digitally. Let me teach. Let me teach virtually. Let me contact our students. And off you go. You would generate really a nice income, not only for you, but also for the dive center. So it's again coming back to the value that you can offer to your diving center. And I would definitely use that strategy to make myself, unavoidable, because not only, and here we can support a lot. We do a lot of webinars dedicated to training centers, and maybe they did not see these webinars, and so we can there have a lot of support. And then, believe me, you will be making yourself quite valuable to the diving center.
Yeah. Then two interesting questions. Okay, this one. Ricardo Germano, it would be nice to have statistics about how many years instructors stay working full-time in the industry. From my experience, in many cases, the market is always looking for more instructors because people don't stay committed as diving professionals. That is true, I think. I would say from my days at offices in various agencies, I think it's probably 1 to 1.5 years, the lifespan. Jean-Claude maybe knows more.
It depends very much when people are coming into the career. If you come as a backpacker and you travel the world and you finance your traveling just because with the ability to teach diving courses and so on, then you may go back to, let's say, a different lifestyle. You may say, okay, I traveled enough, I go back, and that's maybe the lifespan of the instructor that Marco mentioned. If you come later, and you decide to change your career orientation with something like 40, then you may stay quite a long time. And this is what I noticed when I travel the world, that many instructors of a certain age, they came later in the game and they are still there. So that's a mix. And again, it depends from country to country.
Yeah, definitely. And
but it's, if it's certainly comparable to any other profession. People do change jobs, do change companies, but yeah, maybe someone loses also sometimes the passion to teach open water courses, and they prefer to have only certain type of courses, and maybe they don't want to work full time anymore in the diving industry. But so there are a lot of instructors, they were full-time and they maybe become part-time instructors afterward because they still want to be linked to the industry. So the numbers of pros are not particularly declining. I would say they are fluctuating.
Yeah. But definitely the lifespan is not super high. It will not exceed 2-3 years, then they're on average out of the industry. But that means, for example, for Jean-Claude that is in it for 30 years, another 30 must have done nothing. But again, that's also these people that come in it for different reasons, like Jean-Claude said, the travelers, or the people that do it for a personal challenge to see if they achieve it. They might never even be active and never work, so they have 0 years. So
true.
Then well, Ricardo says, and that's true, many instructors have their own jobs and use diving just as a hobby without really making a commitment with the profession. This is a problem because we don't see this behavior in other valued professionals. True, especially I can speak for the European markets. There's a lot of people that have real jobs and treat the diving instructor job or even dive center owner job as just a hobby. And yes, I agree with Ricardo on that one. All right, should we continue with the next question?
Yeah, you know, I mean, when I came to this industry, people always asked me if this was a job. I'm still there. I'm still doing what I like, and I am still eating. So, and still having fun. So if this would not be a job, then I would have had to change my orientation. And so many people are like that. But certainly you have to be open to change, because the job is changing, the industry is changing, and it's not only for diving. Everything is always a matter of adaptation. Are you able to adapt to new situations? You know, when I started, we had no diving computer. We just started by having a jacket, so that was a big change. Now we teach we have digital courses, virtual classrooms. So if you are an instructor that love to do 3 hours academic sessions, then it's hard to adapt maybe. So you have to adapt to that. But in the water, it's still the same. You may have better equipment. So this is definitely a change. So if you are not open to change, then of course it's difficult to stay longer in the industry. But that would be valid for any job.
Exactly.
So Marco, we are coming to an end. What advice would you give to our future dive pros that might be watching today?
Well, to an aspiring future dive pro, I would say have a plan. Basically, know why you want to become a dive pro. I mentioned before, there's different reasons why you want to become a dive pro. Personal challenge, passion, you want to make a career out of it, you want to just travel a bit. So be clear on why you want to become a dive pro. Have a plan where you want to work. Then when you have that plan, inform yourself what it takes to work there. Then maybe after that, realize that becoming a dive instructor is not that expensive. Compare it to a pilot, compare it to becoming a golf instructor with all the equipment you have to choose, or a ski instructor or whatever. It is really not that expensive. So have a plan, have a budget. When you know where you want to go and work, and when you know what instructor course more or less costs, save more than that, and then start choosing a dive center, a training center, and a trainer. And when you choose a trainer and a training center, basically go back to what we said before. You think, okay, I want to go and work in Thailand. Dive centers Thailand or instructor training facilities Thailand, you contact them. Then see how they reply. Are they replying fast? Are they replying precise, professionally? Are they being kind? Make a filter out and leave the money outside. Don't go for the cheapest one. Go for the one that basically appeals most of you, and then do interviews over Zoom, over Skype, and then basically you choose and you go there. So have a plan, have a budget. Don't go for the cheapest, go for the one that you feel is the best for you. And then the door is open, really. So that's my advice. What would you add?
Yes, I would say that you covered everything, and you know, based on some comments, I read, I would even do it for free. As an instructor, you never do it for free, no matter how, because even if you are in a resort and you have, let's say, living there, you have the food, you have your room and everything, it's also part of a salary, first of all. But the moment you enter the water for fun, you also take a responsibility because you are an instructor. So the moment you are an instructor, you have to value yourself for that, and you take anyway the responsibility of a group, even in a fun dive. That's why I think this has always to be valued. Of course, it can be paid in a different way, maybe, but taking a sabbatical is also one way of doing it. But no matter how, you will still be paid because you provide a service, and at the moment you provide a service, then you want to be paid, maybe more or less. This depends very much. But I think this is the way you should watch at that. Yeah, I think that's more or less how I would see it. Yeah. I saw a lot of very nice feedback. Yes, we like to do this kind of lives, and we will continue to do that in the different sections. We have free diving, we have tech diving. The next one will be on Tuesday. So check the Facebook page and you will see when it will be the next one. I think what we learned through this situation is that we are all in this boat, I would say, and we like to exchange, to have opportunities to talk about different subjects, to get not only closer to the dive centers and give them tools to perform, to succeed, to overcome this situation, but of course the pros, the divers, the students, everybody is welcome in that, and we want to be able to give this open platform. I know also I have actually some pros that are contacting me personally because of, and I know you too, Marco, because some are needing a little bit of, I would say, coaching because they may have doubts as well. So never hesitate to contact us. We are definitely here for you, and we can definitely support you in all kind of situations.
Yeah, and I would like to basically add as a closing, we will reply then to some comments privately and on the feed. But this situation definitely, in my opinion, will also change not only the diving industry, but many industries. But I think it's an opportunity, and I think the time to become a dive professional is really good now. And I don't say that because I'm working for SSI, and I have to say that I really think dive centers and dive professionals and the behavior of tourists that want to dive will change over the next few years. I can see many dive centers actually, instead of going with groups of 8, making smaller groups of 4, and they will need more professionals. I really think it is a good time to become a dive professional. Maybe not today, wait a month, wait 2, wait 3, wait 4, see how it all develops. But I definitely think dive professional is more than ever a profession I would still re-choose again.
Absolutely. I cannot agree better than that. All right. Thank you very much, Marco.
Thank you,
again,
Jean-Claude.
Pleasure to have you as a sparring partner. Thank you everyone for following us. Thank you for everybody. We'll see that in a replay mode. We'll be very happy to continue that and hopefully see you soon again.
Yeah, thank you for all the nice input and comments. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye, everyone.